Greetings, this is Stasia Bliss, the Kundalini Queen, helping you navigate a spiritual awakening. So today I want to talk about the death process, which is sometimes an uncomfortable topic for people, but I think it's an important one to address, especially because it's a very real part of an awakening. And I don't mean a physical death, I mean the transformation process that is very much tied to our second chakra, which is the sacral chakra, located in front of your sacrum, actually just about a little bit below and a little bit inside. You have that chakra, and it's connected to the reproductive organs, and it's connected to the death process because it's an ancestral tie. So it connects you to your DNA through this chakra, and it is when it opens, when Kundalini hits second chakra, then we get this clearing out of all these past cycles and unprocessed emotions and unprocessed feelings. But we also have this line of death, right? We have all of our ancestors' death processes that are being processed through us in living state. So if we don't continue to allow life force energy to enter in, then life force energy eventually dwindles and is extinguished from this body, and we go on to another form. So that's the death process in the physical. But if we're choosing to continue to open to our spiritual awakening, to a Kundalini awakening, to the evolution of ourself and our species and our consciousness, then we are going to go through a death simulation, which many people have called the dark night of the soul. It's also part of the hero's journey, which is where you go through a process that feels like everything in your life is falling apart. Everything in your life is being shredded, pulled out from underneath you, pulled away, stripped away. And that is the death process. And that is the process that as we get to this time of year, if you're watching this video around the time I published it, it is the week of All Hallows Eve, or Samhain in the Wiccan tradition, the same time as Halloween in the Western nations, also All Saints' Day, the Day of the Dead. This is a time when it's known that the veils in this reality are thinner. So it's a very second chakra experience in the collective at this particular calendar time. So that means there is a thinness. We have access to our ancestors and their wisdoms and their trials and their death cycles, and to the very separation that physical death has on us as a people. So at this time, we can work through our own death processes easier. Because we are in that portal, so to speak. We're in that time of the year, that space time that allows us to access that stuff. So at other times of the year, say in the height of summer or even in the spring, we have access to other parts of us. But right now we have access to the death cycle, to Lady Death, if you will. And this is something that takes place in all parts of our life, right? We go through a death process about our identity. We can go through death processes in relationships, about what we do for work. I know a lot of us are redefining ourselves right now, including myself, really claiming the title of the Kundalini Queen right now, realizing that is my specialty and really just dialing that in. That is a death process too, because it is a releasing of an old identity and allowing a new identity to take hold. So the death process always has this rebirth, this resurrection built into it. So even when we're tuning into our ancestors and we're honoring their passing, or we're honoring their wisdoms, we also get this influx of life, because that allows the Kundalini life force energy to move more fully and completely through that second chakra. So first we receive the flush out. We see what this death process has to teach us, has to offer us, and we do much better if we will flow with this, if we will honor it, if we will go with it, if we will recognize the need of the surrender in the death process. And that will allow us so much more quickly to access the life force energy that wants to run through our second chakra, that wants to give us access to satisfaction in our life, to a deeper sense of purpose. That is the fire that begins to ignite under our third chakra, our creative center. That only really happens when we make it through these dark nights of the soul, these ancestral wounds, these DNA repetitions, if you will. So if you're facing a particular death cycle in your life right now, and if it's in a relationship, please also remember that death is a part of an evolving relationship. Just because there's a death cycle going on in a relationship does not mean it is over. It just means the way it was going is over. Now, of course, not every death cycle is part of an ongoing thing. Sometimes we really do need to cut something completely off. But in this society, I think we've forgotten that Lady Death is also part of relationships, part of the deepening of relationships. And that includes to ourselves, the relationship to ourselves. Sometimes we have to go through a death of our old identity to really reach a deeper connection with who we truly are. So, with this in mind, you can navigate with more awareness the little deaths that are happening in your life. And if there's an actual death that's happening, know that that being is making way for more life energy to be distributed to those who remain. So this time of the year, I give great honor to those who have crossed the veil, knowing that this same experience exists on a daily basis for each of us within our being, and especially during our awakening process, as we allow the old realities to be shed and the new reality to rise, just like the serpent rises up the spine, the Kundalini awakening. So join me next time. This is Stasia Bliss, the Kundalini Queen. Have a beautiful day.